When Alexander the Great had conquered what he thought was the known world, he got to the edge and he wept and he cried because he thought there were no more lands to conquer, no new lands to explore. Eventually, of course, that territory was divided up, and those European countries began to explore. And you have the early Americas with the conquistadors, and then their eventual turning into colonies within the United States. Then you have Louisiana Purchase and westward expansion. During all of that time, mankind has constantly been pursuing and exploring new areas. And so during that time, you have also Galileo and his development of the telescope and looking and determining that the Earth was not actually the center of the universe, but that that it revolved around the sun instead of the other way around. And through technological developments, continues to, as we look into the night sky, look into space, it just continues to get more and more vast, more and more. There's beyond comprehension of how many galaxies and stars are out. So our brains just want to try to see what's out there. And then you have the exploration of the ocean depths. You have even today in 2021, we still have not explored all that's under the seas, and all of the various species of animals and fish under the sea. They're still developing and still learning of new species, new life. And so scientists, as science and things has developed, has even believed that the universe is expanding at the speed of light, and so eventually even the Earth that we see when we look into the night sky will just be completely black, because the stars that we're able to see eventually will move beyond visibility, where we just can't see them anymore. And then you have the ocean depths, and then you begin to have the development of the microscope. And so with the microscope, we're able to see small, and we're able to see, originally it was the skin, the skin cells, and then we were able to see that within the skin cells there are parts of the cell, like the mitochondria, and even within those cells you have DNA, and those replicate, and there's different, and they replicate into different types of cells, and you have even beyond that proteins, and then you break that down even further to even today we're at the technology is developing that's allowing us to see, incredibly small things, and then you enter to the atomic age, and then you go subatomic. And so now with the development of technologies and mathematics, scientists and mathematicians are theorizing that even at the subatomic level, the rules change. They don't. The way that matter interacts and the way it behaves, it could be in two places at the same time, and so it's just this fascinating concept. And when technology catches up, eventually we'll be able to even go further or even more precise than that. And so that the vastness of space has not been completely explored. The subatomic level has not yet completely been explored. There's so much more, so many things to learn in the world around us, and when I see that, and when I kind of learn and read and just kind of try to keep up with what's going on in the world around us, and then you look back over the ages of history, it's just when mankind thinks that he's kind of gotten to the edge, like Alexander the Great, he actually discovers that there's a whole nother layer, a whole nother world that he has yet to explore. It's even more complex. The rules change. Everything that he once thought was his realm of understanding is now blown away and opened up, and new concepts, new animals, new ways of being are discovered. And so that's the fascinating thing to me about life, is that just when you think that you've kind of figured it all out, there's a whole nother layer. And so I think it's the steadiness, the consistency of who God is and His Word is true, allows us to navigate in a world that is beyond our comprehension and beyond our full understanding. And even when we do begin to understand the world around us, I think it's God and His Word that guides us through those next layers. And even if you think about it from a creationist or a however you fall on the origin of man and evolution and all of that kind of stuff, to me, when I look at it, it's just so complex. It's so from the consciousness of man and his ability to think and to make sense of the world around him, and then when he begins to explore that world just gets more and more and more and more complex. There's a mathematical principle that came out, and I forget, I should have looked up the mathematician, but the mathematician, he developed this mathematical formula that he really couldn't test until the computer age. But when he plugged in his numbers, it is a eternal number. It just keeps going, it keeps going, it keeps going. And then when they take that number and they graph it on the computer, it develops like a Paisley type design. And when you zoom in on that figure, on the lines that make the shape, it actually is the Paisley shape that makes the outline. And so then you zoom in on that shape, and it's just an eternal, every time you zoom in, it just gets more and more and more complicated. And so that's the fascinating thing, is that mankind, I don't believe, is going to ever fully explore the world and the universe and our reality, because as soon as we get to the edge, there's another layer. And that's the wonder of creation to me. And I hope it's at least piques your interest in what God has done in the world around us and how He's created us. And there seems to be no end to the layers. Subatomically, we just keep getting smaller. On the space, the galactic side of things just keep getting bigger. And even I think it was 2 years ago, we discovered that there's an organ in our body that we weren't even aware was there. And so we're just constantly exploring, constantly learning new things, and it's just wonderful to be a part of God's creation.